Swick, Paul Madalinsky, Stan Noga, myself, Dot Maggio, our recording clerk, Vanessa Ballou, and our highway supervisor, Mark Bills. Okay, any changes to the agenda?
I would just like to have a minute to talk about the website at some point, maybe towards the end.
Okay,
I don't have a lot to say, just.
I'll tell you what, I want to add item 7G, and 7G is after everybody talks, and it will be any other select board members' comments. I usually put that in every meeting so that if there's something that comes up, like you said, that we didn't have, it's not requiring the vote, that we can bring it up. So 7G, any other select board comments?
Yeah, you can table 7E, planning commission, because our next meeting is September 30th.
Okay.
And there's nothing to report until then.
Okay, we will table item 7E, we will add 7G. Any other changes to the agenda at this time? Okay, hearing none, moving on to members of the public. I think we have Fact TV. Oh, is that, no, that's you, Stan.
Yeah.
Okay, was Fact TV up there? Oh yeah, giant Fact TV, they're there. Fact TV is also present.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take a look at the meeting minutes from September 6th. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go, anybody have any edits on page 1 of 6? Anybody have any additions or edits on page 2 of 6?
I have one.
Okay, where are we?
Under 6B,
6B.
the 9/11 coordinator, it's what the first bullet point. I think you should just add the address was previously a part of, just add 3 words, a part of 316 Hill Road.
Oh, the address was previously.
Just so that nobody misunderstands and thinks there is no more 316 Hill Road. That's it.
Okay,
Thanks.
Any other changes on page 2? Page 3 of 6?
Yeah, I think you can strike the meaning of reserved to be clarified under item little 3, C3, MTAP, the discussion vote.
Right.
I mean, it was clarified at that meeting.
So which line is this?
Yeah, I'd just strike that.
They just strike the discussion vote?
No, strike the parenthetical meaning of reserved to be clarified.
Okay.
Unless that was just your parenthetical because you needed it clarified.
No, it was, just because it was stated.
Okay,
So we wanted to clarify what a reserved account meant.
but it was clarified
Okay.
at that meeting, so.
Okay, we're on page 3 first. We can add Bruce.
Oh,
now
one
to
more.
The agenda,
One more,
to the members.
under Energy Commission, just add under 1, the MERP update. The MERP assessment application has been filed, because
Yeah,
there's
okay.
several parts to it, so.
Okay, work assessment application has been filed. Okay. Anything on page 4 of 6? Yeah. No, okay, anything on page 5 of 6? I have a question. We have the appointments to the Hazard Mitigation Committee, Oliver, Dot, Chris. Stan, were you already on the committee and we were just adding new members to it? Because
To the, which committee?
mitigation, hazard mitigation.
Yeah, I believe I already was on it.
You're already on it, okay.
I think
all
I
right.
have been, so.
Okay.
Good,
Thank
good
you, I
point,
was
though.
like, yeah, all right. That's just a clarification on my part, it was in the last set of minutes, I'm sure. Anything else on page 5, anything on page 6?
Well,
Oh, yes,
Page
sir.
five,
Page 5.
there's no mention of. There was 2 votes about the truck, and there's no, not even here. As I recall, there were 2 votes. Fine, well.
There were.
So
were. I
I'm
didn't
wondering
mention
why
the
there's no
first.
mention of that at all.
Of the first vote,
Because it
it
failed.
failed.
Oh,
So you don't mention votes when they fail?
Well, and then it was approved. It was the same vote, basically. It was the same vote for using the ARPA funds. It failed the first time, and then the second time it passed.
Well, let's put in there, let's put in the first vote. I had made the motion. Stan had seconded it.
and
There
it
was
failed.
Discussion.
Subsequently
2
following.
yays,
Yeah.
1 no, 2 abstentions.
Okay,
Motion failed. In the first vote.
and then
that, okay, that makes sense.
so should there be a
Following additional discussion. That's all I would.
Okay.
Bruce made a motion and it passed.
Right.
They got it.
Okay. Item 6 of 6.
Page 6 and 6.
Okay, I would like to, make a motion that we approve the minutes from Wednesday, September 6th as amended. May I have a second? Seconded by Paul. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended for September 6th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passes. And right now, I have hazard mitigation meeting. We have minutes. It wasn't truly a meeting because there were only 2 select board members present. But we have a summary of that. I don't know, how would you like to handle that? As an informational minutes, because they're not true, it wasn't a true meeting.
Yeah, I feel that's a comfortable and appropriate way to handle it in light of the fact that it really wasn't a formal meeting. It was intended to be, which is,
Right, 'cause we did,
Yeah.
yeah, in case everybody else.
and we didn't know if someone was gonna walk in and participate along the line, so.
Right, right.
But it was very well done. I didn't see nothing to me that seemed like it looked like a correction was required. And I appreciated the way you broke out the dates and what was gonna
Yes.
happen. That was very helpful. Thank
Can
you.
we change the topic, the very first line from minutes to informational minutes?
sure.
Because it wasn't,
That's a
okay.
very good suggestion.
Okay.
I'd second that motion.
Question on the hazard mitigation meeting. Are also select board members supposed to be a part of that?
No.
No. It's just, and it's open to the community, other
Right,
communities.
we have Oliver Ames on it and, yeah.
And Chris Daly.
I wouldn't see why if someone on the board wanted to be a member, they couldn't.
No, I mean, I just wondered if that was an explanation. I mean, obviously you had, it wasn't like a select board
Right.
meeting,
Right.
so, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
If there's 3 elected officials, working on a project that has an outcome or votes and stuff.
Then you
that's
have to
considered.
have,
Right.
meetings approved at this meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so these are informational minutes from that meeting, which has some information on it for you. So, I guess we don't have to approve it though, because this is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but, well done, John.
that's,
So should I also take off the special meeting part? So it just says informational minutes, town of Brookline.
you can make a notation, because it said,
Shouldn't it be published by the committee? On the committee website under hazard mitigation?
is this one of the meetings that Guy couldn't add to the?
Yeah, I know. I already suggested there be, I see. He couldn't put it up. Yeah. Got it.
That was the problem, he couldn't add
I-
any more to the website.
I concur with your thought, though, that probably since it couldn't have been had, the meeting or the term special perhaps is subject to deletion.
Yeah, informational, just
Yeah,
And then.
Kind of an informational meeting,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
there, that's where we would change, okay, that makes sense. Okay, and then Stan, I'm gonna let you handle, because I got a lot of emails and I thought that it was a consensus as to how to, amend the minutes from August 16th, amended minutes. So I'm gonna let you make the motion or point out the changes. If you don't
Okay.
mind.
the only, let's see if we can get the minutes in my hand here. September. August 16th, when we had reviewed the minutes of the August 16th select board meeting. They were amended, obviously, and there was one area which I had raised a question about, and it was regarding the discussion of the John Secotio report that dealt with mold. There was a sentiment, I would say a consensus expressed. We didn't actually formally take a vote, but I know at 3 of the 5 of us, and I think Bruce, actually, you were the first one. I had attributed my initial comments that it was Samara, but it was you, and then Samara, and then myself, and then Paul, I think, chimed in. And it was essentially that we felt that the town not pursue that mold investigative process with its associated fees and scope. So that's the only amendment, and when we talked about it at the meeting in which we were amending or looking at these minutes, there was a matter of the need coming forward that we actually verify that sentiment was present. So I subsequently did go back and review that specific part, well, everything up to that part
Mhm.
of the meeting to find it. And it was in fact discussed that or stated that there was no interest in the town pursuing that. So I then emailed Vanessa and initially in a direct way indicated that this is what I saw. And I didn't mean to put words in her mouth, so I later apologized and said, I think all it's necessary is that we simply put in a phrase that the board was not interested in pursuing that. And I believe that's what she, in her very last sentence of 3C, indicated, is that the select board did not
Yep.
want to pursue the John Secotio mold proposal. And so, and it was subject to the review of the minutes to make sure that event happened and what was basically the consensus of the people. So that all was done, and Vanessa was kind enough to send us a revised copy of those amended minutes, and
Yeah.
that's it. I hope I did an adequate job.
Yeah, so I have a motion to accept the amended minutes from the August 16th meeting regarding 3C. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the amended minutes from August 16th for item 3C, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, very good. All right, good. We're through that. Next item is the payroll warrant. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the payroll warrant number 2411 dated September 13th, 2023 in the amount of $8,604.44. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving payroll warrant 2411 dated 9/13/23 for $8,604.44 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, I'll pass this around for you to sign. Come back and we'll do this one.
I left the line for you this time.
Okay,
You know what we ought to do is send a kind email to Judy to add, or Melissa, just add another line.
Yeah.
Space down to the
Oh, it's just
lower.
4 on there?
He has just 4.
Okay.
It's unfair to Paul, makes him look like he's not wanted. And we want him here.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, why aren't we using the provision? This is falling with outside of the normal select board date. You know, the payroll is on September 13th. Technically, it should be approved and signed by the chair on or before the money goes out. Does anybody let you know? Because,
No,
Money's already going
you
out.
used to call me and I would come in that day.
yeah, I mean, I'll
Because the
mention
money's
it
already
to
going out.
Melissa.
Because it's all automatic deposit now.
Frankly, it's all automatic deposit, but we used to make sure we had a signature on or before the date that the money was actually dispersed. So, and because that's the letter of the law. Now, I don't know if that's been updated. I'll ask Melissa because obviously we're in the, I mean, it's a niggly little thing. I just wondered, you know.
My understanding of it is that, they actually don't send the checks until the Friday after the select board meeting. From a functional
No,
standpoint,
it's not true.
it's not.
That's true for AP warrants.
AP warrants are here. the
It's
checks
not
are
true.
here.
All payroll is direct
Really?
deposit. It
And
has been that way for years.
Oh, no,
since
I
I've
never
been here.
realized that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know it's
So
direct
that's
deposit.
why,
Ah,
I mean, we're trying to be in compliance with state law.
yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of an archaic state law, but there you go. And I mean, so,
Yeah, if I got a call, I think it's.
no, I used
Yeah,
to
if
do
I got
it.
a call, I would come
I
down
know.
that day.
That's a good
And
point.
it's just,
Thanks for
it's a
bringing that up.
technicality. I'll talk to Melissa. I mean, it could be that somewhere along the way, someone went, wait a minute, this is not, you know,
Yeah,
makes it awkward. But all it means is that the chair the chair is authorized to sign the payroll warrant on the date. And then afterwards, we record it in the minutes. We would still record it in the
Yeah.
minutes. We just wouldn't all approve it.
is that an item that when the select board reorganizes every year, it needs to vote on, or?
No,
It's a statutory?
no,
requirement?
it's Vermont statute.
It is, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it was.
Yeah.
It was. I'll ask Melissa.
all right.
All right,
Just
well, I
curious.
think I have done, I recall doing that when you would call me all the time and I
I
would,
know.
yeah.
I
okay.
think it's gotten lost in the shuffle.
It
I'll
did,
ask.
Probably.
Probably. All right, well, this one's dated. I'd like to make a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 2412 dated 9/20/23. In the amount. Hold on. These are big numbers.
Yeah,
$324,056.36. May I have a second?
second.
Seconded by Stan. Any discussion? I will note that a large amount of that money has to do with the West River Modified Union School Q1 taxes. Okay. Any other discussion?
Just
Yes, sir.
curious as to why there were 2 checks for the truck cut, one for 32, 121 for
Okay.
1,000.
Judy Akampora, when she cut the check for the truck, it was $1,000 short. And so we had to get a blank check and bring it to Melissa, and so the second check was cut for the price.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
And she apologized for that.
So
Any
she
other?
just wrote it for the wrong amount, and is that?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
I have a copy of it.
No,
if you didn't-
it's
no, that happens.
One
Yes,
other
sir.
question. I noticed that in EM logging and land clearing, there is as a description for the first amount of 225, it says 2023, contract FEMA. Oh, I see, it's breaking out the years. Okay, I don't need to ask the question. I see by analyzing a little more that, my question's been answered by the detail there.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving accounts payable 2412 dated 9/2023 in the amount of $324,056.36, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any, hearing none, all those in favor, we all said aye, right?
Yes, we did.
Duh. I drew in a fifth line, that's what confused me here on this list here.
That'll ask me, what's the date today? And I completely lose my thought train of thought.
Yeah, I know. While you're signing it, I'm just gonna check one more time to see if there's any bids that were dropped off anywhere. I'm checking the mailbox.
Interesting. All right. Notes. Budget purposes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is opening the bids for winter road maintenance. We received only one bid for the project this year, and I will take the pleasure of opening it. Okay, the bid is from A.S. Clark and Sons, New Thane, Vermont, winter plowing and sanding for the 2023 winter season. I do have the bid here. We bid $42,000 for plowing, sanding, and salting of town highways, recycling center, the town office parking lot, and meeting house driveway for the winter of 23-24. Payment due first of each month as posted, January, February, March, and April. There is no second year bid for a 2-year contract, and this bid is $2,000 more than last year's bid. Let's take a look at it, and then I'll make a motion, and then we can discuss it. Process.
Did the last one have an adjustment clause for gasoline expense increases? No, didn't. I couldn't remember.
No,
Okay.
that only happened that one contract where there was words in there about the rates for, because that's when the gasoline was up to over $4 a
That's right.
gallon.
That's right.
And there was some questions about that.
So this, doesn't have December, I mean, it doesn't say when
They
it,
request they will invoice those months for the payment.
yeah, what if we have a snowstorm
Oh, they will plow starting today. They'll plow for the season.
and it goes until, I guess, the last snow?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
It's just.
I make a motion to accept the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for winter plowing and sanding for the 2023-24 winter season in the amount of $42,000. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan. Any discussion?
there's only one.
Somebody
bid.
asked me.
There's
if
only
we-
one
There's only
bid.
one bid.
Somebody asked me, did you buy a plow for the truck? Yes.
They have one in Dummerston, same guy at $550.
Well, it doesn't, because there's only one bid, doesn't cancel.
It crossed my mind. We should, I
Salad.
thought it's funny, Paul and I had that conversation in the truck, maybe we should buy a plow for the truck. But then we have
It would change the amount of work if we did some of the work like
Well,
town
we'd have
hall
to, we'd have to
and,
hire somebody else.
yeah.
We'd have to hire somebody else to do salting and
And the
sanding.
truck was straight sand, I mean, you'd have to get a sand attachment.
Yeah,
that's true, too.
That's- yes,
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion, a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding the bid for this winter plowing and sanding for the 2023-24 season for $42,000 signified by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next bid, I will open, we only have one bid for this, this is for
Whatever
providing,
happened to Fitzpatrick? Did he leave the area? I noticed.
No, we
No.
just awarded the bid to Archie all the time.
No, that's not,
So, you know,
that's not what I was pointing to.
no, we ordered.
I
we
haven't
gave it
seen
to
him
We
in
gave
the
the
area.
Fitzgerald one year.
I never see
we
his
did
trucks
one
anymore.
year, and then thereafter, we never gave him.
Well,
the
I
bid.
was-
So there may be reasons, John, that
And
you're not
Yes,
aware of.
I know.
That wasn't what I was
Probably
pointing
reasons, I'm
towards.
just saying.
Well, I was pointing towards, is I haven't seen him around. I haven't seen any of their trucks. Are they
He
still,
still goes to select board meetings for
There's-
a call.
does he still have the pit down there?
Yeah,
He sold part of it, didn't he? To
I'm
somebody.
gonna move on to this,
Yeah.
though.
yeah, let's, it's
Hang on,
it's not on the agenda, let's not, yeah.
I'd like to make, okay, we have A.S. Clark and Sons made a bid for sand for the winter of 2023, which is $28 per yard for 3/4 inch winter sand delivered to town yard and mixed with the town supplied salt and piled in the shed. This is for 14 cubic yard loads delivered at the request of the road supervisor. I can't recall with certainty but it was either $27 last year or 28, I don't recall. We'd have to go to the minutes to compare.
Yeah, I don't
But,
know at all.
This is the only bid, so I'm gonna make them, I'll let you look at it. And this is the sample provided.
$28.
I'm sorry,
$28.
Yes.
28.
28.
And offhand, I can't recall what the total volume was used last year either.
Search me.
That I don't think I've ever, well, maybe when we're budgeting, we go into that. I just don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
$28 per yard, okay. I have no idea what it costs, so.
So it's for 14 CY loads?
Yeah,
What is that?
14 cubic yards.
loads.
Each load delivery will be 14 cubic yards worth of
Oh, okay,
material.
okay. So I mean, this is like, no matter, doesn't matter how much
Right,
we're gonna
for
need,
whatever,
that's what it's gonna be.
correct,
Yeah, okay.
whereas the plowing bid, it's whether it snows once or 50 times, this is only what we need, what we order
Right.
and have delivered within 7 days of a phone call. All those in favor, I make a motion to approve the winter sand bid for the season of 2023-24 in the, at $23 per yard. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Paul. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving, awarding the bid to A.S. Clark and Son for the sand bid for 2023-24 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Got we're ready for winter. I'll put this downstairs in case we get stuck on the stand in the basement. All right. All right, Mr. Bills, you are next on highway supervisor, completed projects, planned projects, other things to be determined.
So we could
Oh,
see
wait, we have a,
about the-
Oh, never
Sorry.
mind, I'm almost done. I'm almost ready. Okay,
a youth moment,
Hmm?
a youth moment.
Yeah.
Let me get through all these draft minutes. I didn't flip my pages. We'll have the advertisement. For the same bids. Okay, we have an informal quote from the provider of the salt that we have been getting salt from for several years now.
Is that Cargill?
This is Cargill. Okay, Cargill has provided a de-icer, salt ice delivery of $86 for an estimated 175 tons out of the Rockingham terminal.
Let's say that again.
86.
$86
Basic.
Per,
Is it per ton or just for the 175 tons?
yeah, that's my question.
I'm questioning it, hold on.
Should be per ton.
Yeah, it's
I think 175 is the average.
is what we've used in the past. Let me pass that to this side.
Approximately would be 175
And I'll
tons.
pass this one to this side. It's an informal quote. We did not put it out to bid because there's no, we haven't put it out to bid in all the years. It was American, but then that was one company that was.
So that's about $15,000 all told for 175 tons at $86 per ton. Does that compare? Does anybody know?
What we spent last year, the
Yeah.
same thing with the sand. It depends upon what we order in.
No, I know. I just was curious.
I can't recall those numbers.
For my memory, back when we did get two quotes, those were the two companies, American and Cargill.
Yeah.
And
it's
in each
really-
instance, I think
Cargill was
always the lowest.
here. I'm thinking
Yeah, we
it
don't
was in the
have-
past in this like $77 a ton, so it has,
It's
don't quote me,
increased
I'm not
slightly.
perfectly relying on that 77, but I do recall
Yeah.
reading.
I mean, I'll just check later. I'm curious. Cause it should give us an idea of how much.
Shall
prices-
I make a motion for this bid, or do you want me to table it for another time? Is there any questions about it?
I would be interested in hearing if Mark has had conversations with other towns about what their experience has been, or
I
if you've
have
heard any
not,
scuttlebutt.
haven't talked with any, other towns at this point to make any comparisons. I know that everything else around us has gone up, including trucking and, so I feel like price will be higher.
I remember what our budget was for salt.
I can't remember and I forgot to bring the.
Yeah. I'm just, if there's an uncomfortable feeling amongst maybe
Yeah.
put it off until we investigate a little bit, a day or two.
That it is this was said August 30th, usually these
Okay.
are, and I did have it the last meeting, but I didn't have it in
Just
time to
put it
put
on
it on the
silent,
agenda
please.
to talk about it.
Well, my guess is he's probably being consistent from town to
Yeah.
town.
Probably.
And there probably aren't many, obviously there aren't many that
There are
any
not-
town has to
there are
choose
not
from.
A lot, yeah.
I
Probably
mean,
the
we'll
thing is
probably end up going with
it.
them. It isn't technically a bid then, is it?
It's an informal quote.
Yeah, so we should not call it a bid. You know, do we in general approve buying?
Well, I don't know if the purchase policy actually distinguishes between only being one vendor and asking that vendor for a quote. And whether or not we term it,
Yeah,
bid
you
or
got
not,
the
it's-
policy handy.
it's, yeah. Whether it makes a big difference or not. It is a quote. I don't know if it's a bid.
I mean, it might make sense just to check with the other company.
I'm gonna say, let's table this and, I'm gonna make a motion to table this particular bid or this particular quote for material. And we will, I'll try to reach out to both American and Cargill and see if this, what information they can give us about their past usage here in town.
There was one year we had with the Appalachia,
Yes.
and the third one.
Oh, there was a third one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to table. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan to table the motion. Any other discussion?
I was gonna suggest just get the usage from. The treasurer will have all the data. From, you know, who we, how much it cost last year. And how much we used, you can probably derive it.
Okay, Paul Cargill.
Are town reports out there somewhere?
Oh, wait, you know,
No,
what? I'm
there's
sure I have.
there'd be a couple in there.
Closet
Okay.
on that town report.
And another, as part of the discussion, it's unfair for the select board chair to always have to feel they've got to do the research and investigation. So if not knowing what your schedule is, if you'd like a free moment, I'd be happy to make those 2 phone calls.
I will give you those 2 calls. Here's the paperwork. Here's one of the 2 sheets.
Okay.
For Cargill, if you would follow up on that, Mr.
Sure.
Noga.
Just compare the prices, that's what I do.
Okay. All right, so we'll table that. At this.
Okay.
I'll look it up another day since we are in.
Okay, all right, so Mark, now we'll back to you.
Oh, did you vote? Do you have to vote? Did you
Table.
Table it?
Oh, all those in favor of tabling this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion is tabled. Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
Mark. Third time's a charm.
Right. So I believe that the paperwork is completed for the GIA road finishing.
No, it's not. I asked. No, I'll just say that for the moment. When I get to my area, I'll bring. I'll be elaborate.
Project is this we're talking about?
The GIA number
Grants and aid.
274 for the work on Hill and Kirsch roads with the ditches and the crowning of Kirsch Road, et cetera.
Okay.
And Mark, correct me if I wasn't adequate in that description.
No, that's good, I
The
know
work is
The
completed.
work is
It is.
complete and the paperwork is, I guess, still pending.
About to be submitted with clarification required.
Okay. So, few, heavy wind and heavy rainstorms, quite a few, wood debris has come into the roads, fallen trees, doing a lot of cleanup. And I found back to work on trying to accomplish the FEMA repairs for 2021. Back up on Holland Hill.
Are they done?
No, we're in the middle of the project. I have, everything is on site, partially dug up, and, I have deliveries of some, stone for the stone line ditches. And once that project is complete, which should be first part of next week, gonna take a few days. Next week, we should be able to put the bill out there, put it together, so that we can give that to FEMA. And I also have made arrangements, to apply gravel to areas in need. I'm just waiting for the delivery of the gravel for that. And I have a list of some dead trees that I've been addressing, taking trees down, that need taken down as I find the time.
Mark, is the gravel that you just referred to for any FEMA project, or is it simple other town roads that need it
Well,
irrespective of?
The only material I listed was the Holland Hill is gonna need, the bulk, riprap rock for the ditches. stone line ditches. That's part of FEMA mitigation. It's also, mandatory state standard for our road segments.
So you're talking about ditch stone, plus 8, plus 12, what do you?
Yeah, it's, because of the steepness of the grade, it's like 8 to 12.
8 to 12,
So
okay.
you're gonna break out those numbers like
Yeah.
you normally do?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And, but the rest of I also mentioned, applying road gravel. There's a lot of places on, Putney Mountain now that have, eroded away and some ledge is showing down into the base. So when I can get some deliveries and be up there with the grader, we'll cover over some of the rock ledge that's showing up there. And that's basically it. I would also like to say a huge thank you for all the consideration from the board for even considering all of this equipment that's come to town, the excavator, the mower worked great.
Oh, yeah, what's the status of mowing?
I-
Do you have time to do it with?
Done.
I fitted
No,
in
it's not
between,
done.
digging. Soon as this, last culvert's put in, I'll have time to go back to
Okay,
doing
Finishing it.
mowing. And, it worked super. And the excavator, the truck is phenomenal. It's, it exceeded my expectations so far for a couple of days. It's super. It's gonna do everything I believe that I,
I just had one question.
Yeah.
Then not for today, but to give some thought to for the future. Can we get in like sort of a tentative idea of when regular road maintenance happens? I know you get buried in all these emergency projects and special projects. So not today and not next week, but just give some thought. Like, so for example, when people ask,
Yeah.
you know, when is my road gonna get graded? Stuff like that. You know, we kind of have a general idea. Okay, this happens at this time.
right,
And this usually happens at this time. And this is when we'll have time to come back this time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sure,
Nothing-
yeah, and it's-
Okay, great.
it's a hard thing to put a deadline on just due to the way.
I know, I know, but then we couldn't maybe help.
Good weather things linger,
Right,
bad weather, you need it.
right, right. I know.
So,
I mean, we've experienced that with contractors, so we get it. I'm just thinking overall, if we have sort of a general plan, we'll know if we're ahead or behind,
right,
what's getting pushed back because of emergencies, et cetera.
That's one of the things I talked to Mark about, is that in the past few years, we're always trying to catch up. And hopefully
Right.
we're gonna get to a point where we can predict and plan and be ahead of it, whether it be for paving or for those kinds of things.
Exactly.
For instance, I'm gonna ask, I thank you for working with the dead trees that you can manage, but there are probably lots of trees in town that we probably should consider budgeting for
Yeah.
an arborist to come in. So you might wanna start thinking about putting tape on some, or, you know, so we have an idea this winter when we're doing our budget, like, we're gonna need 3 days at
Right.
$3,500 a day, or.
yeah, that's something when we do put the budget together, we should, put a good number there because, there's a lot of them. that
Right,
I
so-
see every day. that-
Right, and some people point them out to me too, so if you could, that'd be part of planning ahead, it'd be
Yeah.
like putting ribbons on the ones that you can't take down that should be considered, for a project.
Sure,
All right, that would be.
and,
Good.
it's, one day there, I got an email about ash trees and I questioned this like a year ago, you know, they wanna have a program for the towns to take all their ash trees down that are on in the town's right of ways and, I came up with one question was, is there any funding available to help with that? Because, you know, I can only afford.
You know what, we'll bring that up in the mitigation.
No,
Well,
no.
The emails, as I read down through, listed there is a grant available now to help with towns with that problem.
Yeah, send that along, if you could forward that,
Okay.
okay. Anything else, Mark?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck. Drive safely.
Oh,
Chuck.
Dan had a question, earlier, and, the capacity of this truck, and the F-550 is rated for, between 10 to 12,000 pounds carrying capacity.
5 to 6 tons.
Yeah.
Okay, good, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like I say, the loads that I had on the past couple of days, you don't even know you have anything unless you look in the back.
Dummerston has the same size truck, same truck,
Oh, really?
it's a 550 Ford,
Yeah,
except they have the plow.
it's like anything you purchase, once you get one, you start looking around and see them everywhere.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but I think it's gonna do well.
Great.
Down. Good deal.
All right, well, thank you, Mark. Anything else?
Thank you.
Now we'll go on to Stan. We have a contract to sign for Basin Brothers.
Yes, I had originally signed it before I mailed it to him, and he signed it, but we need the rest of the select board. Unless from here on out, we switch to a process whereby we have somebody sign it on behalf of the select board, either the chair or something else. These are the 2 signature pages, and they require the signature of all of us. I've already signed it, but
And, one question there on that, we mentioned that he gave a date of October 1st.
After.
well, he never gave a date. What he said was early October was his exact
Okay,
quote,
but sounds like it'll be from October 1.
to October 14th, somewhere in there, I would
So
think.
this is to fill all the potholes that
And
And finish
Putney Mountain
the
Road.
Yeah, on the,
Yeah.
Putney Mountain.
So, right, I think if they do the paving on Putney Mountain, we should be most everything done for.
Yeah, that's it.
2021.
That's it.
we kind of advised the guy that emailed Dot and myself this morning, or maybe Dot, she sent it to me, I forget which. Patrick
Yeah,
from Boston, FEMA Boston,
no, Michael,
Michael from Boston, that's right,
that's the
okay,
other guy.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, and he was told that, I did mention, and Dot referenced it in her reply to him also. I just reaffirmed that in my email late this
You have to
afternoon,
sign this one. You
that
got
there are a number of
this.
other minor. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I spent like 2.5 hours on FEMA portal this afternoon, getting stuff and looking stuff up, and there were a lot of, when you go down through I think there's 10 damage sites. And some of those have other subsidiary locations. It's not uncommon to see when you print out the page that's showing 90% complete, 80% complete. So there's something else they're looking for. And when I get through with this list in the next 5-6 work days,
Yeah, we have to
sit down with you and look at what it was
Okay,
that
back to Stan.
they referenced. Thank you, everybody. And just make sure that when we close it out, that we are in fact 100% done, and not something we, with a 10-minute review, could have figured out and fixed.
Right, okay.
Okay, anything else?
I jogged Mr. Marston's reminder of coming to town in early October this morning. That's when I told him I was submitting this to the select board this evening, and that I would email him and send him the hard copy of the signed documents. I do have a couple other things to bring up if I can.
Sure.
I don't know if it is elsewhere here. Let me just look. Is there a topic for the MTAP update?
Yes,
There is?
there is.
Okay. And then I'll bring that.
See it.
I off
take
the
it back.
cuff really didn't see it, but I.
No, it's not.
I
Okay,
don't see it.
If I
but
could-
You should bring it up.
after our last meeting, as we got an inquiry from several different people with Wyndham Regional, Kate Buckley from VLCT, et cetera, and Chris Campany. I sent them the original date, time, and section of the minutes where we voted to pursue it. And didn't provide them a copy of the minutes, but referenced the website and the 2 steps they needed once they drew the website up to get to it. So that's taken care of. And then, of course, as a part of the meeting that we had here, that Vanessa provided minutes on, and some other emails, we were asked to provide comment about whether or not we voted the last meeting to continue and whether we asked or voted to pursue this contract that we talked about the last time we met. In response to the clarification of the two issues that we talked about last time, when it said reserve $6,500, who are they reserving it from? And the phraseology that was kind of loose. And the email that I got back, I think it went to everybody as well, either from Chris directly or from me, was that it's from another entity in the state that the money is coming from. And he also wrote in the email that there were no hidden fees, I'll use that term loosely, associated should we as a town back out of the agreement, which we had experienced elsewhere dealing with them. So I thanked him for that, and I would like to seek your permission to, if you don't mind, writing him and asking him when that revised agreement. I mean, right now, the one
Are we
that's out there, it's got draft.
Are we waiting for, I mean, I think they sent the draft as a sample. Are
Yeah,
we waiting for them to send us something that?
I'm
we
waiting
can
for them
then
to
mark
send them.
up?
I think we're waiting for the final document.
I
That
thought,
doesn't have draft across it.
yeah, I was a little confused about that too, because when I read our minutes, it said we agreed, when I was reading our minutes from the last meeting, it
We
said we
agreed
were
to
gonna finalize it today and have something signable, but we don't have that, do we?
No, I tried to produce it today, then I did print it out. I think I have it with me, but in
But
big, bright gray letters across it as
maybe
draft.
One of
So
us,
my question was, without, belaboring this too much, is simply email him tomorrow morning and
Is it-
say,
can you
have you
say-
got the final document?
yeah,
And send it to us, and we'll
yeah,
sign it.
send us the
And
amended
we can
document.
We can't control other people.
We can concur at the next meeting, the fact that it's been signed.
Well, so you're implying we sign something before the next meeting, which is fine with
Yeah,
me.
well, we said, we can't we're kind of like in a catch-22. We can't move on to the next phase of working with the consultant until we get that sort of formal understanding back. So that Maggie knows she's hired. I think that's the gist of it. So, yeah,
Yeah,
so
since the board approved entering into the contract
we,
as amended
yeah,
in our minutes, that once they send you the new contract, it's not a draft.
right,
I don't
that
have,
we can sign it and consider it signed.
I would
Yeah.
think that'd be wonderful. Whenever it is, if you want to authorize us that when it comes in, to all just stop by and sign it, that sounds good.
I make a
I'm all for
motion
that.
that we authorize the signature of the MTAP program, finalized program, contract, with the select board and authorize Stan and or Samara to sign that.
I would add to that, I mean, as an aside, that's the simple vote. I will second that
Okay,
vote.
seconded by Stan. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I would just simply like to email him tomorrow and say, are you sending us and when?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
I would ask, because I was under the impression that Maggie was gonna talk to Chris, ask changes be made, and
Yes,
then we would get something new.
yes.
We didn't receive it
We
in
haven't.
time for this meeting,
Correct.
therefore we voted to, send it. Please send it so that we can do
Yeah,
what we
we're in a
said we were
hurry.
gonna
We want to
do.
get this done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Any other discussion?
okay,
Hearing none, all those in favor of,
Signing it as a
signing
consent.
the contract, the amended contract for the MTAP program, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you for representing the select board with that and
The next-
moving that forward.
The next thing is in reply to Mark's GIA topic introduction. And that is that when we were here with Samara, Mark and myself, we looked at the bucket size because that seemed to be a predominant key. Well, in the call, I got an email from someone from Wyndham Regional pointing out the 2023 schedule, which we can't use because the disaster recently happened a week or two before it came out. So we got to use the 2021 schedule. And when you go in that, it turns out this piece of machinery is between the characteristics that are defined as use this one or this one. And so I've emailed Wyndham Regional, I've also emailed Miss Ashley up at the GIA office in Montpelier and said, the subject has the capacity of a 0.4 size bucket. And it's 109 horsepower. The two reference points on that 2021 chart is a machine that has a 0.3 bucket with 49 horsepower. And the next one goes to a full cubic yard bucket with only 90 horsepower, and nothing else is close to what we got. So I said, what do you want us to use? You want us to round down, round up? Do you want us to do a successive approximation? Let us know, because we only want to do this once.
Okay, so we're just waiting on the right cost. to
That's it.
use.
And I don't know, I assume I'll have it tomorrow, but I don't know.
Okay,
It's those little things.
I know,
Yeah,
all right, well, so,
And I mentioned to Dot and Mark about the fact that I was on the portal this afternoon and I was following up so that I could complete what I promised everyone I would and dovetail it with the all-encompassing and important work that Samara's doing. And I cannot find on the portal the mitigation upgrade on Holland Hill. So if it's okay with everybody, tomorrow I will call the guy up at VEMA or VEM, Vermont Emerging Management, Mr. Fowler, I think, who is responsible for the upgrade, and find out if they approved it and where do I find it? So we have it. I mean, that's what we're going by, is the portal.
right,
I see there's plenty of effort here by Dot. Letters, et cetera, that have been apparently emailed, but it hasn't changed in the portal.
nobody typed.
They
it in
still
the
are
portal.
saying we can only upgrade it to its original condition and not mitigate it. And I looked everywhere, I couldn't find it, so I just want to
Yeah.
clarify that.
Okay.
That's the info on that.
That'd be
Now,
very helpful,
When
Stan.
we talked to Margot about these mitigation, is that a completely different mitigation than?
Hazard mitigation versus FEMA mitigation, it is different.
Yes, it's a different project.
I didn't know where.
Yeah,
where the line is
together
drawn.
or,
They're not,
because, at some point, we're gonna have to come up with that repair for the Ellen Ware Road, broken head wall.
Yeah,
I didn't know where the cost estimate would come from.
that would come from FEMA, if we're saying that that damage was due to the storm surge and flash flooding of the summer. And that was one of the 4 sites we visited with our FEMA rep, so that's a FEMA project.
and just one question for Samara and Melissa, perhaps. Have you given any thought to I've got a tentative schedule of columns and their names. Is it important at all that we line them up so we have the same? or-
Well, I think what we have to do is get all our data together and then see how they mesh.
Move columns?
I'm using that 2012 kind of template
Okay,
that looked familiar to me.
uh-huh,
And, I think, I too, when I look at the portal and I look at what we do, it's hard for me to match them. So that's why in my email, I said we have to figure out how our apples and oranges match up,
yeah,
so to speak.
yeah,
And that'll be next week sometime, hopefully, we can
Sounds good.
start that process.
okay, thank you. I'm all done.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Mello, is there emails?
I only have one thing in the daycare, and that's a follow up on the water testing that we talked about last time. And I did talk to Olivia. And all her other daycares, all they do is test for lead.
Huh.
Okay, so when I'm in the mood, and I'm not now, I'm gonna call Nancy Burke, who I have a good rapport with, good relationship with, and ask her, are we in here as a school? Are we in here as a daycare? What are our regulations based on those two fronts? Are we just continuing on as a school here? Because the other daycares don't have to do anything. Lead is all they. I made sure that, lead's the only thing they test for in all the other daycares that they have.
Interesting, very interesting.
So that, and
So
I-
did you ask why?
that Why they test for lead?
No, why they're testing for more than.
That's what
lead.
he's gonna
That's what I'm gonna
ask.
get into.
Oh, okay.
Paul, what you're not familiar with is Nancy Burke is the lady that does the testing. She's been doing it for
Yeah.
years. And I have to basically call her up and have this discussion with her over what I just said about what are we being,
Why are we
Put out
doing,
as a
why are
school.
we doing
all this
extra
when the other,
testing?
when the other daycare's
Thousands
on.
of dollars worth of water
Yeah,
testing.
we're.
No, I
getting hacked.
remember it from years ago.
Yep, you
It's
do.
been going on for
You paid the
years.
bills. And the second thing is, I also came to my brain one day, and I don't think I've talked about this with Mark, and I think what we're gonna do is the air handlers that are now closed off, we're gonna put fresh, if we can have a couple of brand new filters in the boiler room and just replace them. And what I'm driving at is, I'm thinking that because that ventilation system was running, that I was helping them get sick. What do you think, Mark? What do you think?
Yeah, with mildew, dust and stirring it
No,
up.
It was a blower.
yeah, well, it blew through the whole
Yeah, if you
ventilation
don't clean the
system.
vents and you got weird
That
blowing, it's
ductwork
not
goes
healthy
through
air.
The whole school, through damp areas, and it sets,
Mhm.
froze, and then when you turn on the air, it just pushes it.
And the lower air handler in the basement doesn't have any filters. Only the upper one has filters. We never, oh, excuse me, there's one filter on the incoming air that comes into the air handler in the basement, but there are no room air filters. Remember? The one that slid out,
There's one each, oh, yeah, yeah, one at the,
one in the little cubby hole.
two in the basement ceiling, but,
Yeah, but that's with the other air. Oh, that's correct. So that's what the,
Yeah.
no need to go on. It's a waste of time. But anyway, so was my thinking, and I thought we would just put new filters in there and say bye-bye. Okay, so that's it basically for daycare. Meeting house. I did go to that assessment with John, whatever his name is,
Socotio, whatever.
and spent the 40 minutes or whatever it was that we discussed, but Dan Tallow was there. And I had a couple of observations. After he looked at the whole building and he was gonna make up his assessment, I had a couple of questions. What are we being charged and what's being charged for this if there is a charge?
For the assessment?
Yes,
The assessment costs $1,000. We received a $500 grant to cover half of it. And I
Okay.
have in my packet today another $500 grant to cover the other half of it.
right, okay, because,
If he gets the paperwork to us and invoices us by the 30th of September. If he sends it before the 30th, then it was covered, the whole $1,000 was covered by grants.
great. So what I'm driving at is I really was attentive to listening when we had a back and forth exchange. And maybe I'm not being fair, I had to see where he knew a hell of a lot more than I did. And I've had this approach 2 times. The first time was when I went to see the other guy that came in there and we were talking about the gas heaters. And I guess what I'm driving at, are we over assessing this building? I'm looking at that the building should be analyzed in such a way of priorities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
In order. You take the first priority, you analyze the damn priority. Go to the next one, go to mold, go to rats or whatever the hell we're doing. Analyze and do it. I don't understand why we're going through all those assessments, especially in light of we've been kind of going around and around about this for 9.5 freaking years.
Yeah,
We already have an assessment from Jan who did a thorough job.
But
And now
we're done with his assessment now,
I think so. I haven't
Yeah.
checked, I haven't read it in quite a while, but I think we're 100% done.
Right.
But then we didn't get into the bat thing and all that, but that's really cut and dry. ADA should be able to get covered by grants. We don't need an assessment for that. You can call Vermont Center for Independent Living and get I'm sure you can get all this stuff for that. But I'm going back to what I said originally. Why don't we just set priorities with the meeting house committee? 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can always change it and add to it. When I make a
can
priority
we
list,
set the priorities or do we have to go to the committee? And suggest
well,
that
we
they
can
set the
request it
priorities?
from them. I think that the right way to approach it
They're
is request it.
advisory.
We wanna know what they think should be done, and then we can entertain this conversation amongst the 5 of us. 6, Mark, of course, and go from there. One more point. it was, God, it's gotta be, when Peter Meyer was chair, he and I stood in that sanctuary one day for an hour and a half and discussed all the things that could be done with that building. And a lot of this pertains to how we're gonna use the building too. So that's a part of it as well. So I guess I'm gonna fall back to the fact that we should request that the meeting has to make a priority list, and then we can go from there. This overall assessment stuff, I'm having a problem with it. I think we're just dividing up all our interests instead of fine tuning one thing at a time. That's my opinion. Anyway,
Would you email Leanne and ask
Sure.
her?
I could do that.
I don't know why I'm thinking this, but it seemed to me sometime
You were-
earlier this year or late last year, there may have been a request by the Historic Preservation of North to update
I think
the
that's what it
condition of the
was.
building, so
Oh, yeah?
I think that's where it came from. I'm very interested in your observation of his approach, knowledge level, whatever, because he just graduated from the school where he learned the profession. And frankly, when I saw his solicitation for mold, it reeks of the more current attitude of, I won't say milk the job for everything you can, but it's gotta be profitable. You gotta be in a profitable business, and you aren't gonna be in the business long if you're not profitable.
Yeah, you know where I'm
So
going with
yeah, I think
You
think
know,
we're
you take one
feeling
item.
the same about this
Yep, yep.
scenario.
You
It
take
sounds like
one
we
damn
all
item,
are.
you take one item, analyze the crap out of it. Now, we got, your husband joining the church committee, correct? We're in good shape. We have all these people work hard, you just concentrate on one item. What it's the mold mold's a big issue. If we wanna paint that building, we can't paint the building
So
until
what,
we get that resolved.
And so the other
That's
thing
one
is,
example.
I wanna be considerate of the politics involved. And that the few meetings that I've attended over the last 12 months or so. I know there's a feeling of frustration, not being able to get as much money as they'd like. And doing whatever they can with what money they have. I would almost suggest that maybe, and this is just my thought, and I'd be interested in how the rest of you feel. Just maybe the two groups someday sit down or get each of us make up our own list and then compare them. Because it's be very easy to provide the misperception that the committee can go off and do anything it wants, which it can't. There is some responsibility the select board has monetarily, fiscally for the town, et cetera.
100%.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But on the other hand, doing it in a gentle fashion and with reasoning explained and rationale, whatever, so that we don't offend anybody. And hopefully come to an agreement with what it is that
We
we,
already-
all 12 of us wanna do, or whatever the number is.
We already told them once about the spending of the money.
But that's just telling them be prudent and put enough priority on it. What I'm saying
I
is
mean,
that,
back when we were concerned about them spending money, we did something.
yes, we had mentioned
Remember?
that, yes, in the summer,
But I
when there
think-
was 1,200 here and 1,700 there
Right.
that disappeared. Yeah, I guess, I just don't wanna lead anyone on a committee to feel they've got the ability to decide and tell the select board what they're gonna do, as opposed to working together, which is where it's all about.
Without a doubt. But we also have to do it in light of the survey and in light of what the town wants.
And I don't
I
think,
think-
my sense is you're not gonna find much that's changed since the last guy did it, right? I mean, it sounds like you're saying the same thing, Samar, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but you said, yeah, 9 years and you shook your head, yes.
But you're
Well-
talking about Jan.
Jan,
it's just,
yeah.
it's been a long process and there's,
It's going like this. I see different, it's not
well,
focused.
yeah, but this is a whole conversation that
Okay,
will take a lot more
We
time
don't
than
need
the
to do
time allotted in this.
Not gonna do it
agenda.
today.
we don't do that.
But
So-
But
the
if you will talk
consensus
to
seems to be something.
Leanne about
I will,
that
I'm gonna say,
and put it in
Consider
the idea in your ear that we would like to coordinate some kind of
Yeah, we'd like to
consensus as to
coordinate setting
what's
priorities.
the
There you
vision?
go.
What
That's a
is the
good word.
vision?
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
Coordinate.
part of it. Oh, that's the important part of it, actually. But that sets off the priority list.
Yeah,
Exactly.
coordinate, we need to coordinate.
Priority
What
list with
they
the
think
vision.
priorities are and what
With the
the,
vision.
yeah, what's the vision, okay.
So if they
Which-
have any questions about that, they can
Will
present.
be, lead into interesting them in the MTAP program, probably.
To who?
MTAP.
MTAP,
Oh,
which
something I didn't
is,
know.
No.
Yeah, no, we
this
just
is
talked
the,
about it.
yeah,
Municipal Technical Assistance Program.
Oh, that.
A wish
okay.
list and they'll help
Right,
fund it,
right.
hopefully
And
help.
of
What's
course,
the-
then all the money comes flowing.
are we talking about the RFP? for
I'm gonna do that
payment?
right now.
Okay,
I made that up. I made all copies for you. That's all for you.
I'll just hand it across the table if you don't mind,
Okay,
thank
okay.
you. You wanna come?
And-
Vanessa?
This is what I did.
It's fine, otherwise.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, that's all right, Stan, please,
All right.
that's okay. Thank you.
And I'll explain to you what you did. Basically, if you wanna make an RFP, this is obviously a draft. I did it up on Microsoft Word. I don't know how to send out a PDF out of Microsoft Word. Sorry, guys.
it's okay.
I'm
Yeah, that's all
incompetent.
right, read Word
I'm
documents.
glad you
We
tried,
wrote them
that's
easy.
all that matters. is
It
you-
looks
Let me,
pretty
I'll
thorough to me.
explain what I did. And the first section, right on down to methods and materials with exterior painting are as follows, is pretty much a replication of last year. Other than at the very top, you see Brookline Church steeple, shutters, and 2 front doors. Okay, before going any further, at the bottom, you'll see that I put my name and number and my email address. Anybody that's interested in seeing the building or discussing it can call me or email me with the idea that if they have a difference of opinion, or something that they have a problem with, they can discuss it with me and we talk about it. And it should be pretty minor, but if you look on down further, I don't know how much you've read, but methods and materials for the exterior painting are falls. Provide a suitable high reach lift to access the side and head walls of the steeple, scrape all loose and failing paint, seal nail heads and knots, and seal knots with stain kill. That's new. Again, I will talk to the painter about it. If he doesn't think it's necessary, we'll talk about it. Power wash with bleach and TSP. That's new. That's the same process that was done on the school. I don't know how, if you all have walked around the school, but it begs the 5-minute walk to go around, look at the school that Mo Mommy's people did for $14,500. And it's just beautiful.
When they use bleach and or TSP, doesn't there have to be something applied to? I don't, what would be the word, stop the action? I mean, it's like to neutralize it.
You got me. I'm not certain. I could only remember what they did on Susie's, and we saw mold on the outside of the paint of the trim because there was only one coat of paint put on it 30 years prior. So now, I don't remember any mention of that. Oh, you said stop?
To neutralize it.
To neutralize.
So that it's not like you've got this chemical on the wood that's gonna
Continue to,
continue to
act.
eat at
You're
it.
talking about the bleach or the
Yeah.
TSP?
Yeah,
I think they power wash it all off.
well, you're saying power wash with bleach.
Yes, but they power, yeah, with bleach, but they also power wash it off as well.
Okay,
And rinse,
Yeah, they,
So
okay,
I
look
guess
at that.
need to put the
We can
word
put that,
rinse.
okay. And rinse, all right. Okay, and then oil prime is necessary, any wood to be painted. This is something new, repair, and this is something I drummed up. Repair, not this part, and renail any loose clapboards, and I said, with stainless steel ring shank nails. These are stainless steel ring shank nails, and when I built my addition in 2006, last year I went around with a nail set to kind of go around. I didn't really need to do it. This keeps 2 things from happening. You don't get bleeding on the wood. And it prevents the clapboards from popping back up. They do, and I believe my log siding is what I put on my studded frame to match my log home. I believe it's 1.5 inches thick. Clapboards are only like 3/4, not even 1 inch if I remember correctly. So don't hold me to that. But at any rate, I'm just trying to say you use the appropriate size ring shank nails to put in the clapboards, and you won't have any stains, anything popping out over a period of time. And like I said, I checked it last year. That's what, 17 years, 16 years after we did it. Okay. And then, again, everything's up for argument. If the contractor takes difference, well, I'll discuss with them. I don't think any of us want clapboards being popped back in again, have the nails pop out, 8-penny nails to pop out again. It happens. So that takes care of that problem in a heartbeat. Plus, there's no staining involved. Like I said, okay, caulking is necessary. 2 coats of acrylic Sherwin-Williams latex exterior paint or the agreed upon equivalent. I didn't go into the exact quality of Sherwin-Williams paint, but I will when I discuss it with the contractor. I know what Momamini does, they don't mess around. I know what Norman does, he doesn't mess around, but we'll see. I'll definitely be on that. Shutters and 2 front doors will be scraped as necessary, primed and painted with the same materials as procedure as the steeple. This town reserves the right to reject any and all bids and you know the rest, and to accept the bid as most favorable to the town. Contact me, the bottom part is, now I'm not sure if I did this right, Doc, and seal
Oh,
bid,
yeah.
did I?
Yeah, so this should be spent town of Brookline, or hand deliver electronically, no, they would send it to me electronically, but I
Okay.
can make those corrections, I can correct that, retype that.
Okay, so you're gonna do this and just resubmit the RFP, okay,
When you're ready, we'll have some, go ahead.
you're gonna resubmit it, or you're gonna redo it, and
You're gonna.
Yeah, we have some things to add,
I
right?
was on the Bruce Mello's email address.
did I do
There's a
wrong?
space between the E on Brookline and the V on Vermont,
Yeah,
Oh.
so that they don't misperceive that.
Oh,
You're gonna fix that.
right, right.
And then the underlined part from @gmail.com.
That came up.
That
on
E-line,
Microsoft.
that should be extended back to the V
Yeah.
on Mellow.
That makes it a hot.
Yeah, cause that's what came up in Microsoft Word.
And the other thing, just to knock, I don't know if it'll cause a problem, solve a problem, or just continue a problem, but you may recall the last time we went through this, there were 3 bids.
Yes.
2 of the bidders were licensed to deal with
I
lead
have,
paint. And if they need to be licensed, that should be stated
You're
in the
right.
beginning.
Right,
I have that on here too, let's
Okay.
paint a certified,
okay,
add
This
rinse,
is by state law. it has
I
to
missed
happen.
that entirely.
right?
Yeah.
And I do recall, because I was on the committee then, but what if the painter does not feel comfortable doing the carpentry repairs? One of the things that was supposed to happen is when the painter was up there, if they had to do a bondo to seal up gaps that a carpenter like Kerry would have been called in. Is this something that painters normally do? Is that they can fix the carpentry
Well,
issues?
this discussion came up when that came up last year, and I believe the answer was yes. But we'll approach it when the time comes. If there's an issue with it, we'll just have to deal with it. I mean, we're gonna put out a separate RFP to do the carpentry work, which is, we are not even sure how much is
If the bid
needed.
was up there, yeah, we don't know how much rot might be there, but. But I think the rinse, lead certification. The carpentry repairs are identified here.
Uh-huh. When
My
I,
other question is. With the road FEMA work, we say that site visits, everybody must show up at 8 o'clock on such and such a date. And everybody asks and hears the same questions and answers. Are you saying that because of this type of job, this is like Joe Schmo can come on Monday and you'll be available if somebody comes
I'll
on
line it up with the
Wednesday?
individual. Basically, I think I did a similar thing. It was an RFP though. I did a similar thing when we were looking at the solar panels for Susan.
I just know that with road stuff, it was questionable. When we said for the road stuff, everybody shows up on the same
Right,
day and
right.
Mark was gonna do it, but we.
It
didn't do-
seems to work, I think, but in an ideal world, it should work for you, but on the other hand, I don't know if someone
I
would
don't
not
wanna
take the job because they don't wanna meet you on a date that you said.
Right.
I know your time constraints you've got,
Yeah, I do have.
so I wanna just make sure that whatever you do, you've thought
That's why I
about it.
did this way,
Okay.
because if Mo Momini calls us, well, Bruce, I'll be there at 8 o'clock Monday morning. Okay, now, and Norm Holden calls up and says, well, I can't make it, I can make it, I can work that out.
All right.
This is pretty easy stuff.
Okay.
This is a lot less than what I went through with Susie's. I mean, it's not rocket science.
I would like to also suggest that you develop a list of people to snail mail the RFP to, because sometimes the newspaper is not getting everybody. But if there are vendors that, like that 802 painter, may not be savvy enough to deal with looking for RFPs on a Tuesday in a reformer, or
But you set up for an entire 4-day
no,
span?
I don't do it for 4 days, and for the big
Okay.
road projects, I've done it for several days, but.
Okay.
So, I mean, I could run it and say, I would refer, the ad would refer them to the town website to read the whole thing. But I'm
Okay.
just saying, if
A list
you,
of vendors.
if you had a list of vendors, and we can give you the envelopes, I mean,
That's, I'm good with that.
envelopes and stamps, and you send it out to, we put it in the newspaper, but you might have 3 or 4 people that you wanna make sure
Yeah,
that they get it, so. And 802 and Holden, besides the newspaper, because they may not see it,
right. I'm good with that.
that would.
Pretty
be-
easy stuff.
Yeah, cause you'd have it all printed and run out, and then I would put the full RFP on the website, and then put like I do just to save some money. I put a summary in the newspaper, and then say, for more
You know,
details, go.
You're
to
making
the
a point
town.
there, cause I was having a problem, I said, well, this is gonna cost us a freaking bundle of money.
Yeah,
Put in the paper,
yeah, so, like,
refer to the website,
right, cause like the
Or call
RFP
me.
for the,
or call me.
salt and sand shed, this no salt and road sand. Cost us $104 because it was abbreviated and referred to the website.
Okay.
If they call you, you're dependent upon Dot sending you the corrected item in whatever format, and having the
That's right.
ability to open it and then forward it to them. So your easiest route might be to take the suggestion of
Snail mail.
snail mailing it,
Somebody
or,
opens it, the old-fashioned
tell them,
copy.
get it off the
I
website.
You're gonna make the changes anyway.
Yes,
So just send me the update, I print it 5 times or 6 times, whatever it is, and mail it.
and mail it. So,
Yes, I mean,
I don't know, is the select board, before I make a motion, would you all be comfortable with,
and when you put it in the paper, you're gonna do it abbreviated, which is a good thing.
yeah,
Then you put it-
okay, so what am I asking? We're not gonna approve this because it's still a draft.
Put it on 6th, right,
Okay.
or 4th.
We'll approve it on the 4th, is that okay?
Sure.
I'll get it out to
And
everybody.
and these were all tentative dates that I put in here, I just put it in to punch something in, submitted by November 1st, so that would be 3 weeks.
Okay, I
1,
will,
2, 3, that's 4 weeks, actually, that's a month,
okay,
and then we open them on that night. We're good to-
okay. All right, so I'll revise the RFP with the details and, send it out to everyone so that you'll have it by the 4th so that we can approve it, and I'll have it ready to go in the newspaper the next day.
Okay, so
All right.
you're gonna do that as of the 4th, and then I'll have the copies to send out after that, then.
Yes,
Okay.
all right.
Just out of curiosity, it says repair and renail any loose plywood. Is there some kind of underlayment up there? And then what are you gonna nail it
This-
into?
There is not. There is not.
There is not?
There's only a loose framework, a framework.
So then, I mean, that could be some extensive carpentry work.
Depends on it depends if the, okay, let's.
Well, they're gonna
just-
have to, they're
maybe,
gonna have to
just
do
curious.
that where it goes into the studying, and some of that's kind of skeptic or
Yeah.
loose.
Last year,
But
we had
it
a
needs to
bid.
be better done than not.
Last year we had a bid, I thought it was accepted and they never did it. So there was definitely no concern at that time.
And they do the whole job, not just the kneeling.
So I have no idea, it's the answer to your question other than what Stan's saying. But as to how many of those clappers have. I haven't been up there, it's hard to get up there. So it begs the issue as to whether or not there's gonna be an issue that way. Don't know.
Yeah, I was up there with Charles Tattersall some years ago.
Really?
And we were trying to keep the bats out. And of course, some of the moisture out. And so it was thought by somebody, and I agreed to help. Charlie volunteered to help, to go up with spray foam. And spray the open spaces between the clapboards. And there is no underlayment, whether it be rough wood or plywood or anything. It's purely what you see on the outside is what it is
Okay.
with sometimes similar size, sometimes different sizes.
Mhm.
Boards to serve as a framework to nail it to, so I just give that some thought, however you phrase it.
Okay,
It's a good point that Paul's making.
yeah,
All right, I put ping pong on here because I noticed that Dan is doing ping pong. He's sending out emails through the listserv. If anybody wants to play ping pong on
I
Thursday.
love
night,
that.
between
Good
5 and
idea.
7.
I don't want to divorce.
Is there any concern from the select board about that happening? I didn't think there would be, but it
No,
wasn't brought to
When I
the.
saw him do that, I thought, well, that's one of the easiest things to possibly do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we
Open
have
the
insurance on
building.
on the building.
Yeah, that's not, that's.
So what other concerns might we have? It's a good point, but I think we're okay.
But if they start playing poker,
Oh,
they
well,
should let us know.
as long as the select board gets part of the profit.
Okay. Or as a fundraiser. Just
You
saying.
phrase it, the town.
Old profit.
Very good, thank
Watch
you.
out, we-
Thank you, Mr. Bello.
We are taking a video, you know.
No, you hopefully won't.
All right, anything
Okay,
else?
no,
Energy committee, did the energy committee meet and
We
decide?
met September 8th. They decided I should remain chair,
Congratulations.
so I can be officially appointed, I guess. I don't think you guys vote. I think they voted.
They voted to, and then but then we make it
except.
they
You
are
appoint, you do
advisory.
the
Yes.
appointment, right?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Samara Sawick as the chair of the Energy Commission. May I have a second?
Second,
Seconded by Bruce. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of appointing Samara to the Energy Commission chair position signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any just, okay, let's see, I lose my train of thought. Any opposed? Hearing none. All those, we said that aye.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, any updates you want to give us?
Yeah, our MERP assessment, building assessments were approved. 2 of our buildings were approved for assessment. The meeting house was skipped over. I suspect that they approved the town office and the school building. And in the email I received, which I will forward to the rest of you, it said that they have a high workload, and so if they have more time, they'll add another building. Once they get their schedule figured out.
great,
I suspect the reason I thought about it, and I actually wrote to Margot and said, what should I do about this? But I think it's because we don't use that building. They're prioritizing in terms of energy usage.
yes, they are.
And
They
we
made that
don't
sound
use,
clear.
we don't have a heavy energy burden in the meeting house, but
No,
we're on the list. We're gonna be hearing from.
that's surprising,
Why?
because the first 99 have already submitted, and we were after the first
I
99.
know,
and
we're
now
in
all
the
of a sudden
second
we're
wave
blind.
now, yeah, but what Margot explained too is they get better at it. They're not the first guinea pigs, they get better at what they're doing, so hopefully we'll be able to squeak in the meeting house too, because we hope to use it more. And I think that's what's hard. We realized that as we were doing the application, it's gonna look like there's no energy usage because there currently isn't that much energy usage of it because it's not used, so.
Very little propane, very little electricity.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
we very, very low things. So I had put in, we'll see,
Okay.
but we're in the list. We've got 2 buildings and they'll be
Those are the
calling.
big ones.
It's seasonal use only, so if it had heat, it would be used.
Yeah, currently it's only seasonal use and,
Right.
and frankly, it hasn't been used very much. Because it's been under renovation. We explained all that in the application. And then our next meeting is October 6th. And it'll be at 4 p.m. It will be at my house. So,
Okay,
yes, so.
some people don't wanna move.
Pardon? So that's the
The plan.
status. We discussed, use of the mini grant money. And we have to finalize we have our $4,000 to use up for. I don't have my minutes with me, but it's in the minutes how we tentatively agreed to allocate those funds.
We talked about, yeah.
I think
We talked about
I
that.
don't remember who took minutes, if it was John or Daniel. It wasn't me. So I'll check if I have the draft. I know they can't be posted anymore, which is such a annoyance. They have to be diligent. So I'll email those. I'll look for the minutes. Okay,
Okay,
Thank you very much. And we tabled the planning commission. All right, I can run through my report pretty quickly. Green Up Weekend, went pretty well considering that it was a short time. Bare bones kind of green up. The cost for the recycling was, the Swindon solid waste was $20. And I spent 4 days of driving around, setting up signs and picking up trash and bringing it down to Brattleboro, and that gas reimbursement you just signed in the voucher was for something like $40. I'm gonna ask the Green Up to committee, since they were not able to provide us with, it seems that dumpsters are hard to come by to rent. They weren't able to rent a dumpster, but $60 of reimbursable. I'm gonna request that they reimburse the town for those two expenses. But that was good. We had a nice, a lot of stuff cleaned up. I spoke with Mark Anderson from the Wyndham County Sheriff's Office. I don't know why they have not sent out more wide or on the web to find out who else might be interested in getting some animal control officer assistance. But I did talk to him about it, and he said that he would invite me to their next meeting when they look at the budget that they're going to set for keeping an ACO officer on staff. I would like to put on the next agenda a vote to consider, or I would like to today's agenda to vote to consider joining the Wyndham County Sheriff's Animal Control program. It is a per capita cost of $2.44 per resident. I think we have 540 residents. Could be a prorated since the year has already started. And as far as where we could find the money, we did get, was it $6,500 or $4,500? I
you
forget.
have 40 some hundred.
$4,500 for administrative assistance. It could come from possibly that line item. What the I would get more details and a more specific sample of the contract. They would do, you still need the animal control officer to handle, like this week I had 4 calls in 3 days. And caught 2 dogs and dealt with chickens again. They would not handle the leash law, but they would pick up stray dogs. They would deal with dog bites. They would take people to court. They would do the vicious animal hearings. They would take the statutes or they would study our ordinance, our wolf and dog wolf hybrid ordinance, and identify which are the common state standards that they would do. They wouldn't cover things that we put in specifically for Brookline. We're pretty much a VLTC ordinance based standards. They wouldn't do leash law if there's a loose dog. They wouldn't write a ticket for that. But if we did do tickets, they would go to court. And I've done tickets, and I've done the court, and I've done the dog bites, and I've done the vicious animal hearings, and it takes so much time. So he called out in a long conversation with Mark. He says it's sort of like an insurance policy. In an ideal world, you would pay us the $1,000, $1,200, whatever it would be, and we wouldn't have to do any work because everybody would be responsible in town, and there wouldn't be any loose dogs, and you wouldn't have anybody bitten. But if it does happen, you know that work wouldn't have to be put on one particular person. It would.
But you started answering the question I was just gonna ask.
Go ahead.
But out of all the work that you do as the ACO officer, what percentage of that would you think would be covered by this? As a guess.
You know what? We haven't had a vicious animal just that one time with the dogs attacking the state police officer.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then, but it just takes it just takes something like that to really beat up my life. or anybody's life who's responsible for it. I don't mind taking phone calls. I don't mind running out and seeing if I can, if someone says, oh, there was two dogs that were running loose when I walked my dog yesterday morning.
Okay.
So I went out to look for them. I didn't find them, but the residents said, well, you know, maybe somebody, they were hunting dogs. They had electronic
So
collars
this
on.
greatly minimizes what you would do.
It doesn't,
Possibly.
I think it could be helpful. I would like to vote to consider it, and so I would spend a little bit more time and get some sample contracts and talk to some people about it. And that would be the way I would like to move forward,
So do
so.
we need to vote on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to have the select board consider joining, and then you could put in it, okay, I can do the
Is this
discussion.
what Newfane uses? Okay.
Vote to consider, I'd like to make a motion to consider joining the Wyndham County Sheriff's Animal Control Program this year at a prorated per capita assessment. May I have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Seconded by Paul. Discussion? It is the same, it is the ACO, Ashley Pringer, that would control it. And two times I was either in New Jersey or Connecticut, I got a call on my cell phone from her because somebody thought that it was a Newfane dog and it was a Brookline situation. And I said, I'm out of state, and she actually handled it for me. But I just thought that we've already developed a little relationship. When I
Not
go
even
into town.
prorated, it's like $1,300,
Yeah.
so. And my only thought was, yeah, we can kind of rob from one line to pay for another, but when we do put it in, we should add a line item.
When,
for it, yeah.
if it works out,
If we
if
do
it
it,
works out, when we do our budget, that gets put on the
Yeah,
agenda
but-
for March,
Okay.
yeah.
then we would have a lot, but we would have
No,
a trial.
we would put a line item in the current, if we do it this year, we
Oh.
just ask our treasurer to
To
add a line
modify
item, so
it.
we can track how much it actually
Exactly.
costs, yeah.
Sure,
Which is
sure.
important.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of considering joining the Wyndham County Humane Sheriff's Animal Control Program signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I'll follow up on this and let you know. So I can go to a meeting and, yeah. All right, hazard mitigation plan development. So I don't remember the date of it, Stan. Oh, it was the day after the last select board meeting.
Yeah,
That we met with Margot, the 7th of September, here at Town Hall, and we went through the initial materials of what the program is. And we decided on, there's a 3-hour meeting that I said may be easier to swallow if it was 2 90-minute meetings scheduled for hearings from town residents to attend either through Zoom or in person. We have a 25 person fired. If 25 people came to the meeting, that would be awesome, and more people on Zoom, but I don't think we'd have a problem holding it here in this building that we don't need to go to the daycare. And October, tentatively scheduled with board approval, October 11th from 6:30 to 8. And Saturday for those who can attend from 10 to 11:30. They'd be hybrid and advertised. We have right now, we're a little behind in our scheduling because we wanted to bring it to the board's attention. A survey that would be available both electronically and in paper from hazard mitigation that Margot had a correct sheet. You know, they use it from town to town, and instead of saying Brookline here and there, Newfane showed up in the survey, so she was correcting it, and I know yeah, I had written to her. Now, I haven't done anything with the survey because I didn't reopen it to see if the old link has been updated or if she was gonna send us a new link. Did you open the new link? Did you get a new
link for,
link for the survey? Cause I went to take it.
oh,
to
on the
see what it-
internet? I did not.
Okay, and it was showing up as, it would say Newfane. Have you
Oh.
and Newfane experienced any of these things? And it had a list, and I said, no, it has to be changed to Brookline.
Yeah, I went in and opened it in Word, Microsoft Word, and I changed that word. But I suspect that anyone who's going to log on is going to be using our website here, right? Or downloading it, or are we gonna
Well, I'm gonna give it,
Yeah,
I give it to Stan, I would give it to Guy to see if he can put a link,
Mhm.
with the link to, and it would be hosted, I suppose, at Wyndham Regional.
Yeah, no, I didn't see a link in this, but if there is one,
But when you click, in order to read the survey, you had to click on it.
oh, I don't know. I don't think mine came through that way.
Oh, all right, mine did. It was she wanted to have the survey open from the 15th.
Oh, I see. Well, there is an address up here in the upper right-hand corner. Maybe it is, which means I'll have to email, we'll have to email and ask her
Well,
to change that.
She said she did, and then I got
Oh.
confused when you wrote, because I was like, you
Okay.
changed it, does that mean it changed it on the Wyndham Regional survey?
No, it didn't change on Wyndham.
Oh, okay,
I'm sorry.
all right, so I'll double check with Margot, make
Okay.
sure that it's changed on that, and then with your permission, I'd like to post it on the website, send it to Julie. We'll make printed copies for anybody who comes into the town office for Guy to ask them to do. I'd also like to send it to every member of any committee that's in town, like the planning committee members and the energy committee members and any other interested, seemed like I'd make sure that anybody in town, like I'd make sure Roger and Howard, even though they don't use the internet, but I'd say, can you fill this survey out? We try to get as many people to respond to the survey. And it doesn't take very long, so they can do it electronically or they can do it via paper and pencil, or download. And they also want us to put it on Front Porch Forum. So is that all right with everybody? It's a pretty straightforward survey.
Yeah,
Sure.
again, my only question is, do you want to do it or you want to assign somebody or ask for
I'll do
volunteer?
that one.
All right,
I'll do that one because, I have my list of people that I send things out to, so that would be fairly easy. Okay. And so I'd like you to mark your calendars, the 11th and the 28th if possible. Again, you don't have to be here in person, but it would be, being hearing and participating in, two shorter meetings instead of one long 3-hour meeting, but they would like the same people to come to both meetings. But of course, if you can't, you can't. So we will set that up as well. Okay, next item, FEMA follow-up, storm 4621, which was the summer of 21. We already said that we're trying to determine, Stan's gonna follow up on, talking to Mike Foley about the Holland Hill. That would be interesting. We should have our paving done, and then if Samara and Stan are working on the numbers and the treasurers, if there's anything I can do, just, give me a call as well. The summer of 2023 storm set 4720. We really need to do an RFP for at least the rinks repair, because he wants to be able to access his house sooner rather than later, and we really can't be in the stream after what time?
October 1st.
Yeah, so,
A week.
There's already a permit held for that.
did we do all our paperwork for that?
Archie.
I don't, would they, well, what
All right,
paperwork
so-
specifically?
The specific stuff that Melissa was
Is it-
asking if we had uploaded it,
Two
yeah.
loads of.
Remember?
Okay. All right, Mark has just made me feel a
I
lot
got a
better.
reminder. I think that Dot knows, or whether we have to have it there by the 28th of October for all the damaged sites. So if we can certainly get
I'm
that
not,
first.
are we talking the same thing right now?
We're talking about
Rinks?
filing, meeting, well, you're talking about rinks, but you asked another.
I asked, I mean, talking about getting an RFP and something done for Rink is, I know there's.
We
stuff
don't
that-
need to, because it's, that.
No, wait,
Go ahead.
we have to,
That's
we
different.
have to have some level of paperwork, I forget what Melissa called it, uploaded by a deadline in October, and she said it's important, you only get one shot to do it.
That's
Have
right.
we done that?
Not to my knowledge.
I was under the impression that Michael from FEMA,
She said we should she said it sounded like maybe they did it for us.
yes,
So, are we sure they did it for us? Can somebody
can ask.
confirm that?
I got an email.
Yeah,
Let me,
thank you, Don. That's exactly what she said. She said it sounds like maybe somebody that they did it for you.
yes, and that was the,
Yeah, let's just verify that.
They did the data entry, that definitely, and that was done right away.
he
But
did
what
it
other
that day and the
documentation-
room.
What
Good.
other documentation?
good.
I need, I don't know.
But I'll give
Because
Michael a
yeah,
call
yeah.
about
Yeah,
about
just confirm that that's done, that we don't need to do anything.
4720. All right, I'll ask about 4720. Mark just made mention that, the Agency of Natural Resources has has a permit for water access for Brookline. If, okay, here's the funny, if A.S. Clark does it, A.S. Clark can do the project for less than the RFP purchase policy, because it's materials. So, the purchase policy says, and the new purchase policy,
Oh, cool.
incidental purchases are those purchases of goods and services in an amount less than $2,500.
So it can be done for less than $2,500?
Yeah, yeah, one day.
Okay, so how do we ensure that this is done so that
You're saying on RFP?
Probably write up something like a very short contract. That's what I would do, something
Should I-
that spells out, this is what's being done, this is why it's being done. This follows our policy, our purchasing policy, because it's less than the whatever amount that was.
Sounds
You
like
know,
I
just-
wanna confirm that figure with Mr. Clark himself.
Yeah,
So what I think I'm gonna do is I will reach out to, A.S. Clark and Sons Company. I'm gonna tell them anyway that they won their bid. And then I can talk to them about the rink area and having a written description. I also will check with Mike about his description that he did for the for that repair.
And make sure that they're
And
same,
make sure that
supporting
they're
of each
same.
other. So
So
And-
I will call FEMA man first.
and make
and then
sure, make sure FEMA doesn't wanna see a bid.
Right,
You know, they might have to, Archie might have to write up something, you know, so
Yes.
that we have documentation
Well,
of
that's what I
what's
think.
being done. Yeah.
All right, so, all right, so so I will talk to FEMA man first. And then AS Clark and Sons about that particular project so that he can have access before winter. And he can do whatever he has to do on his own property, on his other
So
side.
Kim said that FEMA wants him to get a bridge estimate. So he's contacted Archie, Archie went and measured.
So Archie's already got some numbers in his head then.
Yeah.
Or that's that's
That's-
their responsibility.
Him-
Ours is just the roadside. Where the undermining a roadside embankment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're just doing the,
But just the one roadside,
the road work, not the bridge.
correct, we're not doing the bridge.
yes, when we were there, Mr. Rink mentioned that he wants a flat, large stone put under the end of the wooden crib. It
Right.
supports the non-roadside of the
Yeah, but
bridge, and I'm not sure whether that's under our
Yeah.
need or not. I
think that-
suspect not,
That's outside of our
outside, okay,
right of way.
Right, it's a right of way.
I think that falls under FEMA.
Okay.
On the other side.
All right, so that's what I have here for the RFP discussion would be for the 2023 storm with the rinks particularly. And I'll be talking to FEMA man, tomorrow as well. All right, next item, dump truck purchase and paperwork in the drawer where accounts payable. I'll see that, like, in the drawer where the accounts payable stuff are the original documents, but I have a folder here of the equipment that we bought, including, the truck purchase, the wheeled excavator, and the mower, and the leaf blower.
I'd like to see the excavator paperwork either after the
I'm gonna
meeting or.
You're gonna leave the binder here, you can
Okay,
take it
all right.
home if you'd like, for that, and the actual, okay, the excavator, both the truck and the excavator were purchased from New Hampshire vendors. The, excavator, came with a, what's this called?
Might be a
Manufacturer-
certificate of
okay,
origin.
This is a certificate of origin.
Okay.
Correct. And the original is in that drawer, in a folder, and it's, it says Nico, Wilmington, Massachusetts, blah, blah, blah. And on the back of it, it is signed over to the town of Brookline, 736 Grassy Brook Road and such. So
Can I ask a question?
do we have to get this, we have to put this into a Vermont certificate, or is the certificate of origin? It's not the same as a title?
No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
not.
No,
No,
it's
I don't, okay.
You need to, we need to
Good time.
convert that into, that may be used to, submit to the registry as part of the application
Right.
process. So hopefully on the back of that, if there is a lien hold, that they've entered the town properly.
They
And hope,
entered the town, the lien holder's address was Nicole, Nitco LLC, their lien holder.
okay,
And
so,
then you had this other one, there's a second assignment, which
Right,
is what we're gonna
which is
assign
what-
it to the
right,
other place.
right.
So that's.
Vermont may want that, and they may want the second lien holder deleted, and there's maybe a box to check that the first lien holder has no longer a lien on
Well,
it.
they're, yeah, so
Okay.
like I said, I have the photocopy here, but the originals are in the drawer, I can give
So
you.
that will need to accompany the application for a title
Right.
and registration.
Right, all right, so that's with the, that's with the. What's that piece of
That's the
equipment called?
Alto.
Excavator. All right, now with the truck. We have, the bill of sale is here, we got a bill of sale, and take a look, that was the paperwork that they gave us, I have the copies of the two checks. The one that had to be handwritten for $1,000, and then the one that Judy had done, and there was a question about. It is insured, I have a copy of the insurance, I gave Mark 2 copies of the insurance card. One for his wallet, one for the truck, and I have another copy in a folder in here as well. Oh, here it is, vehicle identification card is here, and then I wrote to, Jay Wilson, in Newfane about, how do we go about registering the vehicles, and he said, and I'll read it, see if I can find it. He said that you don't have to register the, JCB. Just to put insurance on it and a slow moving vehicle sign. Do we have one? We need to get one. That
I'm
was,
not sure if there's a spare one in the garage, I know we had one on the grader.
right, so they said it needed a slow moving vehicle sign on it and, I sent it to you, as far as the truck, he says Jay Wilson said that you can register the truck through the online portal. It will cost us the first year approximately $12. Going forward, there is no charge for the annual registration because it's a piece of town equipment. And that's pretty much.
Okay.
I think, yeah, the $12 fee for something, because you need plates.
Right.
And then you gotta
And-
get the plates.
So that may be part of the registration
Okay,
for the
okay.
$12 fee or what.
Oh, and that's, the Arrowhead is going to be sending us our final document via mail to us. So. And,
One thing I was gonna suggest,
Go
when
ahead.
we have all the final legal documents and titles, consider making a folder and putting it in the fire
oh,
safe.
this is,
Good
yeah,
idea.
I think you can put this whole binder in there, because
Put
this
the
has
whole
all the
binder in the
documents.
fire
This is
safe.
all the- Well, this is photocopy, so.
I guess that's obvious, but
Oh, wait, maybe it's in my regular notes here. Here it is. I'm here. I had it ready to read to you.
In any way that I can assist driving up there or whatever to register
They
is,
said you
they
don't
did
have to
the,
register. You said you can do it
well, you gotta
online.
file some paperwork. That has to be done, whether you do it
Okay.
by the mail or in person.
Oh, here is.
And if there's a problem, you'd rather be there to answer the question.
That would be fine to delegate that out. I said, hi Jay, I have a question or two about registering town vehicles for the state of Vermont. This week I got the New Hampshire title for a used wheeled excavator and I said the wrong words, Mont Bondic, and that's because I have that in the beginning of my file and that's all I see every time. Obviously, bringing the excavator to Springfield is not an option. How does New Thing proceed with heavy equipment registrations? And question 2, we bought a used dump truck this week using ARPA funds. When that title comes in the mail from the dealership next week, what does DMV treat municipalities any different than residents? What I mean is, do I have to get an appointment at DMV for the day and time and drive the truck up there to confirm mileage and ownership? And then they issue a new Vermont title, or can it be done locally? Does Vermont charge municipalities any fees, and where can I find this out? And he said, hi, we do not register equipment, just put insurance on it. The DMV said it's not required for towns, but they do suggest a SMV emblem on it, slow moving vehicle. The truck, I believe, is maybe $12, but then free to renew after that. You can do it online and just have the sheriffs verify the mileage. So that's what I found out from what they do, but this is the first time we've had a vehicle, so put this with this.
So who's gonna do all?
I don't know. Who do you want to do it? I don't care. Paul,
Any
you interested?
volunteers?
Anybody volunteering?
I will volunteer if nobody else volunteers.
All right, Stanley, I'm gone. I will.
This is why we need an admin assistant. They can
Exactly.
do a lot of this.
Yeah,
They have a new thing.
Well, that's how, Newfane has, Jay Wilson does only thing to do with the roads.
Or,
All she does is
or the
grants.
road person does all of this.
well, I was sitting there for
Mark
an
should
hour,
do it.
over an hour and a
There
half.
you go.
And it was interesting to see the questions that came into the lady at the office. There's somebody who sent in 30
Okay.
days ago, paperwork to be processed for renewal
Well,
of the registration. Here she was 30 days after the fact. She hadn't gotten it yet.
This
She's
is
supposed to get it in
interesting.
2 weeks.
We're
it's-
already at 8:30.
so,
Yeah, kind of.
We're at 8:31, Stan.
so,
It's interesting, but is it relevant?
well, I think it is because, I know some people might feel it's not worth it, but I think it's worth it. In any event, that's it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Brattleboro Development Corp. Technical Assistance Grant for $500 is available and ready to cover the assessment due from the Brookline Meeting House funds for the town's share of the assessment if invoiced by September 30th. I'm going to make a motion to vote to allow for the let me show you the grant. I'll pass this around. It says BDCC will make the grant to Brookline the amount in accordance with the schedule set out in the grant plan. They have some funds that expire, and if we have an invoice from Secotio for his assessment in the next 10 days, that could be covered. So I'm gonna pass this around and take a look. My motion will be, I'm gonna make the motion, if I can get a second, and then discussion, you can ask me questions. I'd like to make a motion to apply for and or accept the grant from BC Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation in the amount of $500 to cover the cost of the assessment at the Brookline Meeting House. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan, and now we're in discussion, so once you take a
So
look
what do
at it.
we do if he doesn't hand in his invoice?
Oh, then we pay the
Okay.
$500, which, comes out of the Meeting House funds.
It comes out
And
of-
then they said that there may be other grants that are available, that what they're doing this year is that they're having somebody look at our minutes and agendas.
Okay,
And then noticing, oh, you're doing something at the garden at the round schoolhouse. We can help you with that, or you're doing
That's
something
cool.
at the meeting house. We can help you with that.
You think
So
it's
there's-
because there was discussion about funding them at the time?
Right, these are the people who the $1,590. They also would like to come to a select board meeting, and I don't know if you wanted to have it, the second meeting in October.
Oh, what's that about?
They just wanted to see their involvement,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, then,
But
We just
that's
gave you
on my list.
$500. Weren't you thinking give us 1,500?
yeah, right.
okay.
Okay.
I vote yes. I'm good with this.
Everybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of, approving the acceptance of a $500 grant to cover the assessment at the Brookline Meeting House from the Brattleboro Development Credit Corp. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, I'm gonna sign it tonight, and then I will talk to Leanne and, have her hurry John along to get the signature, to get the paperwork in. All right, so that's good. And what's next? Okay, at some point, we can table this tonight. FEMA, we can't walk backwards on this for the past two storms, but going forward, Brookline needs to develop a labor pay policy to, on paper, voted in, so that if there is ever a need for another FEMA intervention, that there is a policy about that, and I have to see, I don't know what New Things is, that would be my first place, but we can table this at this time, and it's something to do in the future.
Okay, well, that's my area. I can draft something. I can research and draft a policy. I've done it a million times.
Okay. And yeah. We also need to, discuss the format for, on-call road crew help for Mark. He doesn't need a full-time assistant, he doesn't feel at this time, but, the town needs to be able to know that someone who's working and being paid for and maybe driving a town truck has got a clear driver's license and so on and so forth. So we need to develop is there two members who might want to consider putting together some application formats for the next couple of months, in the next month or two?
Actually, Paul, you've done a lot of hiring. We can talk about it.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else want to work with Paul?
Paul wants a hand, I'd be happy to.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, so Paul and Stan, that would be, so let me know when you're ready to put it on the agenda for discussion. A couple,
how soon do you think you wanna get that together?
you don't have, before the next FEMA storm.
When would that
Every 2 years it seems.
2025 in July.
Yeah,
Please,
so I'm just saying that.
Doc.
All right, yes, sir.
I don't have the last page, which probably has the agenda on it. Did you put in any other questions you wanna talk about?
Yeah, we just-
I added that at the beginning of the meeting, because I forgot to
Okay,
do that. I
so is that
added
after
seven
this?
G.
Yeah.
Any other select board comments?
Okay.
So any other select board comments? I have a couple too, but you wanna have them, Bruce?
Just-
Go ahead.
The first thing, I don't know if it's just me or because my computer is 10 years old, but I can't stand Gmail. I just assume throw the whole thing in the damn garbage.
Listen,
I much prefer, can I finish?
go.
And then you can go at me. I would prefer my Yahoo Mail, which has worked a lot better for me, and I've had that for 10, 12 years. Now, maybe it's because mine's old and antiquated, I don't know, but I can't figure my way.
We're gonna-
I get things buried all the time. I just started deleting things, I got sick of it.
We're gonna get new emails from the town when we get a new
Right.
website.
What's
That's
that
part
gonna
of
do
it.
for the Gmail?
It's-
You
you're gonna
won't
lose
be
that.
Gmail.
You won't use Gmail,
Right,
It won't be Gmail.
okay?
you made my day.
All right.
Okay, the second thing I'll make real quickly, you all got the link that I sent, I guess, about the obituary for Scott Bovet. He died on September 7th at the age of 53, and you can look at that yourself.
When did you send that out?
This
You
this
got
afternoon,
it today. We got it today.
I received it this
You
morning
got
from
it
Aaron
today.
Zarba.
I got it
I didn't,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it. but-
I sent it to you.
Okay.
But maybe the next meeting would make a consideration, I'm working with Aaron Zargo, and we're talking about maybe some kind of a dedication in this town, it's all pretty preliminary at this point. And we'll see what happens at that point in time, but that's all I have pretty much to say about that. It's just
What did you want?
Any other,
Paul wanted
select
to
board
talk
comments,
about the-
Paul?
Oh, yeah, I mean, let's see, it's. I'm gonna keep it short, I've had back and forth with Marjorie now, and I think that. The way I would like to handle this is, I feel like Bruce, I mean, I can't stand using Gmail.
Oh.
And, I find it difficult to, you know, communicate that way with other people here on the board, and I think that I would prefer if I could say, call people up about this website, and what she wants, what's going on with it, and,
Okay,
you know, just personal phone calls.
Yeah, I
maybe
do,
email.
call, don't hesitate.
Yeah, so there's that, and the other thing I'd like to know, is there a deadline on when this website has to be set up?
Contract was
Yeah,
I think she figured a
soon.
good 6 months, I thought.
Well, I thought we lost service from the current provider in November, so it had to be done this fall.
Yeah, ask Guy, he knows.
I got a
exactly
copy of the
when we-
contract at home, so.
Yeah, we,
we can
Contract
look
is
at it
like-
to answer your question.
So
I'll call you because you don't want
then
to.
that should be, quick, then. We need to get
It's
it
supposed to be
done.
quick. Yeah,
Okay,
Cause I mean, it feels to me like this is happening right now at a snail's pace, and I would really like to, expedite
speed
it.
it up.
I lose things in Gmail constantly. I'm sitting all whatever looking for.
Yeah, I know it, I feel your pain, Bruce.
Oh, I'm sick of it.
I have a
I wanted to go,
couple,
delete.
anybody else? I have a couple brief things to ask. Newfane Planning Committee invited us, a while back to attend for a little gathering. Do we have a date on that tomorrow? I think.
I thought it was September 14th and I couldn't go.
Right, so we didn't put in for that.
So I didn't go, but we could contact, it's the planning commission wants to do something collaborative. And I was gonna bring it to the planning committee too, because it looked like they were inviting interested parties, but
Townsend and Brookline.
Townsend and Brookline specifically are whatever planning commissions exist. I mean, maybe it didn't seem limited to that, but we should reach out and find out when their next meeting is and see when they wanted to do that. But they do want to do something collaborative, and it isn't clear to me if they have a specific project in mind or if it's a
Okay.
broader initiative.
All right, I will, I'll reach out, I'll pull up the email and
Yeah,
ask her what she's structured. Stan, I was wondering if I could ask you to make a list of instructions to how to start the owl in the computer in case you're not here one time and I have to do it. I have some really rough notes, but you've been very consistent with it, and I was thinking if we could keep it in the mic, in the bag with the computer, then we have directions.
Yep.
And tomorrow I have to ask you, was the bookkeeper made aware of how to break out the Susie Little Peanut bills on a separate line item so that there shows a deficit? You said you were gonna talk to
I
her
think
about that.
so. Yeah, I mean, she was clear.
Okay, and this is Mars House, new thing planning. How about the guy on 4 Windmill Hill Trail address? How is that Donald James?
No, Stoll.
Stoles.
No, I mean, I haven't been in contact with him since the initial time I talked, well, I talked to him a couple of times, and
Okay,
I mean, my feeling about it is that it really should be changed to a Windmill Hill, address, at least for the E911 part.
right,
Now, I was gonna talk to Helen, who is the Townsend,
oh, yes, okay,
and see, I mean, what I wanna know is if we change the E911 address, does that mean that they have to change their legal address on the deed, or, you know? across the
all right,
board?
so I was just following up on it because I think, I heard his name was James, but I think the person from that home is trying to reach out to the Windmill Hill Trail Association to get some erosion repair done on their trails, and so I reached out to my connections there and have asked them about it, and so I'm like, wait a minute, if he wants to use that trail as his driveway, then he should change his address. I'm thinking that one hand, I mean, like,
Yeah, well,
like if you want this, then you need to do that because
he's
that's
clearly using that as his
his driveway, because I went in there.
I drove by where they told me, you know, they had access.
That's
It-
not-
It is,
that's
it's
not-
overgrown.
All right,
There's no way an EMT would be
Through that
going
way.
that way.
And he's put back the stones that he took
Yeah.
out, so there's. it's-
so, okay, so it probably is the same, maybe it's his email that is.
He probably will have to change his mailing address, particularly if he signed on the post office as 873 or whatever the number is,
Yeah.
Grassy Brook Road.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not gonna get in the middle of it, but
that's
it
the
is the
matter of
same
him, but
home then.
he's doing everything contrary to what he is saying he
Well, what
wants.
kind of was whoever set up the Grassy Brook address to begin with, which probably
Was,
goes back.
was the
to-
owner,
Was
Norm Solomon.
the
Yeah.
Solomon.
I went back and looked at the
yeah.
records and the
No,
application he sent.
I mean, it was set up wrong.
That's right.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move on. Any other comments? If not, I'm gonna move on. What we tabled last week, I'm gonna follow up with this resident, Susie, and tell her to possibly join us at the hazard mitigation meetings, the 2 90-minute meetings, where she can share her concerns for mitigation.
And,
At
and,
some,
and pitch the municipal, the MTAP program, because I was thinking, so let's ask for money for a walkway to put
yes,
a
so that's
pedestrian walkway around there.
So that's what I'd have her get involved in that. And the townwide reassessment, again, we can table it, but we do need to consider making an application or doing an RFP if we're going to assess the homes in Brookline in the next couple of years. Move on to communications. We received an email from Melissa about how to monitor the ACH transfers with a monthly fee. I think we can table that until the next meeting.
Okay,
The email that I read, I wasn't sure what was actually being said. You could read that more than one way.
yeah.
So I need to in the interim, ask her for clarification.
There was an email from Melissa.
Yeah,
Melissa, and it basically was it says, this is the information I've gotten from Michael Kigger about ACH monitoring. If you're interested in adding them, but are reluctant due to the fee being charged each month, you could take less interest on your accounts to have monitoring done on the fees for ACH, like $30-something a month. But let's
Got it.
discuss it at the next meeting.
Bank fees.
yes.
And reassessment, table the AC.
You would kind of think they wouldn't allow for their customer or anybody to go in and do an ACH withdrawal. I mean, that would be a no-brainer.
Well, that's
Just
what they
don't do it unless you get permission.
Right, and but that
Why
was-
charge?
we had, exactly. All right, well, I think we can, I just want to also say that I received in the mail, we can table this again for discussion, that there was, there's gonna be an unemployment tax mandate started in 2024 that all municipalities will have to participate in.
We already participate in part of it. Appointed employees pay unemployment tax, elected employees don't. So is this, I'll look, I mean, let's
Yeah,
look
this
into,
came
is
in-
it different?
It came in the mail of some sort, and I
If you
look at
can
it. All right.
send me a copy, I'll look into it.
Samara.
To see
Okay,
if the
and
law
I,
changed or if it's just has to do with appointed officials.
all right, and there's one other thing that I had gotten, and it's a program for, I'm gonna table this, I'm not gonna worry about it now. Regular mail, did we get any? Oh yeah, regular mail, right here, very quickly. We're starting to get appropriations, I don't think we need to go through them each month.
What's it
I
cut
think
off?
we'll put them into a folder for, Melissa's, we got
We set the-
Resetta's,
Yeah, give them to the treasurer, and let him
Or cut
put
off-
them in a folder.
the cutoff,
Was it November first?
I can't remember. It was in the past, but yeah, we'd like to have it by November. And we've gotten some thank yous from Sevka for their receiving this year's appropriations. Grace Cottage received an appropriations, Vermont Association from the Blind, thank you. The Gathering Place, thank you. We got a letter from Abatum asking us to consider doing mice mitigation if necessary at this time of the year. And a generalized request for the town of Brookline, which I'm gonna tear up because it's not a true appropriation from Dartmouth medical. So that is it at this time. The agenda for the next meeting I have is ACO backup. We'll discuss that. I'm collecting information and I will talk to Henry hopefully before then, providing information, options and education about knotweed we need to start to talk about budget development, plan and schedules. Of course, the hazard mitigation continues on. This RFPs, or I'll have information about the rinks or what happened there. I'm gonna have a 6 o'clock Interfire Act 250 hearing scheduled for 6 o'clock to 6:20 on October 4th. Remember, Act 250 is a program that monitors the effect of development on natural resources, drainage, ditches, ponds, flooding. It does not deal with trespassing or anything else. So, those are.
Except they have issues, they do have, having read their land use permit, it does have stipulations on supervision.
That's correct,
boy.
and that's correct, but also there are ideas, there are also laws in Vermont about posting your land for trespassing or no trespassing.
No, I'm not
and stuff
talking
like
about
that.
trespassing, it's talking about the level of staff to.
I know you're going.
I know,
people.
however,
Brought up
how
that.
involved is the select board gonna be in
Well, I just-
monitoring that
I
ratio?
don't know if, the question I wanna know is, do we know what the procedures are for an Act 250 hearing?
It's just a sheer collection of information from the act.
Okay, there's no procedural steps,
I don't
there's
see any
nothing to
real,
do.
I do have on my list to call somebody. I was looking at,
The
up on the-
VLCT probably knows.
you know what, that was
No.
probably should be a short,
What is
because
our-
I've been going through the internet, looking up
You can
things.
answer most of the town's
VLCT, our town
responsibility.
attorney,
I don't
John,
really have a town attorney.
Yeah, John.
well, who do we use when we need it?
I haven't used anyone in several
Haven't
years.
yeah, it's been a while since we gave up Cornet,
Well,
which was good.
maybe we
Act
should
250
talk to
is on my
someone.
list.
Can you ask them?
Ask
what this- You call it VLCT, you said.
Oh, VLTC,
CT.
League of Cities and Towns.
What our responsibility as a select board and as a town to do all of this, to govern this? Do we have definitive responsibilities that we have to
I think
watch
there's-
these people? Do
We
we
were
have
supposed to do it
to?
for 5 years, and
Pardon
this is, we're supposed to do it for
Yeah.
5 years, this is the 5th year.
Yeah,
Okay.
we haven't been holding them annually. It
That's
isn't
right.
clear to me whether we should have been or not, but I wasn't on the select board, so I don't
I
know.
don't remember anything about that.
I know when we first got on, when they first did it, Mark and I would go and check the road that led the driveway.
I remember
Well,
that.
that'll be
But
interesting,
that was
that's
not,
all.
then I was off for 2 years
Let's
as
go
well.
home.
Yeah,
It's
All
almost
right,
nine.
hazard mitigation, RFPs, Interfire, FEMA update, MTAP, GIA,
so after this,
Bruce
we're
water
done with,
testing.
after this year, we're done with responsibility for that.
I think, All right.
I would like to know that, because we don't,
Wait, responsibility for what?
the Act
for the Act
250 hearing.
250,
Oh, you're talking about.
making
Yeah.
sure that they're complying with legalities and roads, like Sonara said, people trespassing or whatever.
It's not the
No,
trespassing
we
that's
had
the
one.
problem, there are other problems.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm driving out, all the problems, what our responsibility is to watch that.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
move to adjourn this evening's meeting,
I
And-
hit that thing,
8:52.
second,
Great,
didn't work.
all right.
So you got what you needed off there, right? The file? Did you
No,
find
I
it?
haven't, because it's not allowing me to copy it.
You should be able to download it. Do you have a thumb drive?
Yes, I do. It is plugged into the computer
Here,
right now.
let me,
Let's
come
stop the recording now.
Recording stopped.
here, if you let me, I'll do it for you.
I will. Will you allow me to just finish this?
Yeah.
Terrific.
I know.
I appreciate it. You're wonderful.
And me.